Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. We're playing Doki Doki. Although yeah, this game is not suitable for children. So yeah, if you're a child, go away. You can come back and watch another video some other time. But for now, see ya. It does cover some pretty heavy subjects, I believe. So yeah, we shall take that seriously. We don't need any detailed spoilers, however. But we will play it fairly blind going in, particularly because this is the Plus Edition, which I've never tried before. So I'm hoping it's going to be good. But at the same time, its main theme tune is really sweet and catchy. I can't remember any of the characters' names though, except for Monica. I remember Monica. Let's have a new game. Enter your name. Well, let us put in April. That'll do, I think. Hey! Oh, can I press space? I can press space. I see an annoying girl running towards me from the distance, waving her arms in the air like she's totally oblivious to any attention she might draw to herself. That girl is Sayori, my neighbor and good friend since we were children. You know, the kind of friend you'd never see yourself making today. I need to read better. But it just kind of works out because you've known each other for so long. We used to walk to school together on days like this. It started around high school. She would oversleep more and more frequently, and I would get tired of waiting up. But if she's going to chase after me like this, I almost feel better off running away. However, I just sigh and idle in front of the crosswalk and let Sayori catch up to me. Hey! Ha ha! I overslept again! But I caught up to you this time. Maybe, but only because I decided to stop and wait for you. Yeah, you say that just like you were thinking about ignoring me. That's mean, April. Well, if people stare at you for acting weird, then I don't want to think them we're a couple or anything. Fine. But you did wait for me after all. I guess you didn't have it in you to be mean, even if you wanted to. Whatever you say, Sayori. Yeah. We cross the street together and make our way to school. As we draw near, the streets become increasingly speckled with other students making their daily commute. By the way, April, have you decided on a club to join yet? A club? I told you already, I'm not interested in joining any clubs. I haven't been looking either. That's not true. You told me you'd join a club this year. Did I? I'm sure it's possible that I did. In one of our many conversations where I dismissively go along with whatever she's going on about. Sayori likes to worry a little too much about me, when I'm perfectly content just getting on the average while spending my free time on games and anime. I was talking about how I was worried that you wouldn't learn how to socialize or have any skills before college. I mean, that's a fairly valid point. You do kind of go to school mostly just to build up social skills. Your happiness is really important to me, you know? And I know you're happy now, but I'd die at the thought of you becoming a need in the next few years because you weren't used to the real world. You trust me, right? Don't make me keep worrying about you. All right. I'll look at a few clubs if it makes you happy. No promises, though. Will you at least promise me you'll try a little better? Yeah, I guess I'll promise you that. Yay! Why do I let myself get lectured by such a carefree girl? More than that, I'm surprised I even let myself relent to her. I guess seeing her worry so much about me makes me want to ease her mind at least a little bit, even if she does exaggerate everything inside her head. The school is as ordinary as ever, and it's over before I know it. After I pack up my things, I stare blankly at the wall, looking for an ounce of motivation. Yeah, it can be kind of hard to kind of stay motivated after a long day at school or work. Clubs. Sayori wants me to check out some clubs. I guess I have no choice but to start with the anime club. Hello! Sayori? Sayori must have come into the classroom while I was spacing out. I look around and realise I'm the only one left in the classroom. I thought I'd catch you coming out of the classroom, but I saw you just sitting there and spacing out, so I came in. Honestly, you're even worse than me sometimes. I'm impressed. You don't need to wait up for me if it's going to make you late for your own club. Well, I thought you might need some encouragement, so I thought, you know... Know what? Well, you could come to my club. Sayori. Yeah? There's no way I'm going to your club. Meanie. Sayori is vice president of the literature club. Not that I was ever aware that she had any interest in literature, of course. In fact, I'm 99% sure she only did it because she thought it would be fun to help start a new club. Since she was the first one to show interest after the one who proposed the club, she inherited the title Vice President. That said, my interest in literature is guaranteed to be even less. Yeah, I'm going to the anime club. Please, come on. Why do you care so much anyway? Well, I kind of told the club yesterday I'd bring in a new member. And Natsuki made cupcakes and everything. Don't make promises you can't keep. I can't tell Sayori if Sayori is really that much of an airhead, or if she's so cunning as to have planned all of this out. I let out a long sigh. Fine, I'll stop by for a cupcake, okay? Yes, let's go! And thus, today marks the day I sold my soul for a cupcake. I dejectedly follow Sayori across the school and upstairs, a section of the school I rarely visit. Sayori, full of energy, swings open the classroom door. That's a good point. I remember back in secondary school, you go day after day to school, and yet there's like a half of the school you just never go to. And when you go there, it's like Twilight Zone. It's all weird and different, but it's all the same still. Hey everyone, the new member's here. I told you, don't call me a new member. I glance around the room. Welcome to the Literature Club. It's a pleasure meeting you. Sayori always says nice things about you. Seriously? You brought a boy? Way to kill the atmosphere. Ah, April, what a nice surprise. Welcome to the club. All words escape me in this situation. This club is full of incredibly cute girls. Ooh, oh my. What are you looking at? If you want to say something, say it. Sorry. Natsuki? Natsuki? I keep getting it wrong. So that's definitely Nat and then Tsuki. So Natsuki, yeah. Natsuki, there we go. The girl with the sad attitude, whose name is apparently Natsuki, is one I don't recognise. Her small figure makes her look like a first-year student. She's also the one who made cupcakes, according to Sayori. You can just ignore her when she gets moody. Sayori says that quietly into my ear, then turns back towards the other girls. Hopefully it's very quiet and nobody else heard her. Anyway, this is Natsuki, always full of energy. And this is Yuri, the smartest in the club. Don't say things like that. Yuri, who is apparently more mature and timid, seems to have a hard time keeping up with people like Sayori and Natsuki. Well, it's nice to meet both of you. And it sounds like you already know Monica, is that right? Oh, that's right. It's great to see you again, April. Monica smiles sweetly. Ah. We do know each other. Well, we rarely talked, but we were in the same class last year. Monica was probably the most popular girl in class. Smart, beautiful, and athletic. Basically, completely out of my league. So having her smile at me so genuinely feels a little... you too, Monica. Come, sit down, April. We made room for you at the table, so you can sit next to me or Monica. I'll get the cupcakes. Hey, I made 'em. I'll get 'em. Sorry, I get a little too excited. Then how about I make some tea as well? It's like going to a friend's birthday party and then blowing out their candles because you got too excited. The girls have a few desks arranged to form a table. As Sayori mentioned, it's been widened so that there is one space next to Monica and one space next to Sayori. Natsuki and Yuri walk over to the corner of the room, where Natsuki grabs a wrapped tray and Yuri opens the closet. Still feeling awkward, I take a seat next to Sayori. I gotta stay, in the safe zone, next to your friend. Natsuki proudly marches back to the table, tray in hand. Okay, are you ready? Ta-da! Wow! Cupcakes! Natsuki lifts the foil off the tray to reveal a dozen white fluffy cupcakes decorated to look like little cats. The whiskers are drawn in icing, and little pieces of chocolate are used to make the ears. Oh, those sound lovely. So cute! I had no idea you were so good at baking, Natsuki. Yeah, Just hurry up and take one. Sayori grabs one first, then Monica. I follow after. It's delicious! Sayori talks with her mouth full and's already managed to get icing on her face. I turn the cupcake around in my fingers, looking for the best angle to take a bite. Yeah, you usually got to lick the icing off first and then eat the bottom, because that's the smallest side. Natsuki is quiet. I can't help but notice her sneaking glances in my direction. Is she waiting for me to take a bite? I finally bite down. The icing is sweet and full of flavour. I wonder if she made it herself. Now this is really good. Thank you, Natsuki. Yeah, why are you thanking me? It's not like Haven't I heard this somewhere before? Made them for you or anything? I thought technically you did. Sayori said... well, maybe. But not for you, dummy. All right. I give up on Natsuki's weird logic and dismiss the conversation. Yuri returns to the table, carrying a tea set. He carefully places a teacup in front of each of us before setting down the teapot next to the cupcake tray. You keep a whole tea set in this classroom? Don't worry, the teacher gave us permission. After all, doesn't a hot cup of tea help you enjoy a good book? I guess. Don't let yourself get intimidated. Yuri's just trying to impress you. That's not... Insulted, Yuri looks away. I mean that, you know... I believe you. Aw, gotta be reassuring. Well, tea and reading might not be a pastime for me, but I do at least enjoy the tea. I'm glad. Yuri faintly smiles to herself in relief. Monica raises an eyebrow, then smiles at me. So, what made you consider the literature club? Well, I was afraid of this question. Something tells me I shouldn't tell Monica I was practically dragged here by Sayori. Well, I haven't joined any clubs yet, and Sayori seems really happy here, so... That's okay. Don't be embarrassed. We'll make you feel right at home, okay? As president of the literature club, it is my duty to make the club fun and exciting for everyone. Monica, I'm surprised. How come you decided to start your own club? You could have been a board member for any of the major clubs. Weren't you the leader of the debate club last year? Well, yes, yeah, you know. To be honest, I can't stand all the politics around the major clubs. It feels like nothing but arguing about the budget and publicity and how to prepare for events. I'd much rather take something I'd personally enjoy and make something special out of it. And if it encourages others to get into literature, then I'm fulfilling that dream. Monica's really a great leader. Yuri also nods in agreement. Then I'm surprised there aren't more people in the club yet. It must be hard to start a new club. You could put it that way. Not many people are very interested in putting out all the effort to start something brand new, especially when it's something that doesn't grab your attention, like literature. You have to work hard to convince people you're both fun and worthwhile, particularly when it's just reading a book. Which, to be fair, is fun, but not an exciting sort of fun usually. But it does make school events like the festival that much more important. I'm confident we can all really grow this club before we graduate. Right, everyone? Yeah. We'll do our best. Oh no, she's getting a higher pitched queenly voice. You know it. Everybody enthusiastically agrees. And such different girls, all interested in the same goal. Monica must have worked really hard to find these three. Maybe that's why they were so delighted by the idea of a new member joining. Though I still don't really know if I can keep up with their level of enthusiasm about literature. So, April, what kind of things do you like to read? Considering how little I've read these past few years, I don't really have a good way of answering that. Yeah, you just sort of go with the standards like Lord of the Rings, everybody's read that. Manga. I muttered quietly to myself, half jokingly. Natsuki's head suddenly perks up. Looks like she wants to say something, but she keeps quiet. Not much of a reader, I guess. Well, that can change. What am I saying? I spoke without thinking after Yuri's sad smile. Anyway, what about you, Yuri? Well, let's see. Yuri traces the rim of her teacup with her finger. My favourites are usually novels that build deep and complex fantasy worlds. The level of creativity and craftsmanship behind them is amazing to me. Now, it's just like Lord of the Rings that we were saying about. And telling such a good story in a foreign world is equally impressive. Yuri goes on, clearly passionate about her reading. She seems so reserved and timid since the moment I walked in, but it's obvious by the way her eyes light up she finds her comfort in the world of books, and not people. But, you know, I like a lot of things. Stories with deep psychological elements usually immerse me as well. Isn't it amazing how a writer can so deliberately take advantage of your own lack of imagination to completely throw you for a loop? Anyway, I've been reading a lot of horror lately. I've read a horror book once. I desperately grasp at something I can relate to at a minimal level. Is this character going to talk about the Goosebump books or something? Because those were a horror book that you got to read when you were really young. At this rate, Yuri might as well be having a conversation with a rock. Really? I wouldn't have expected that, Yuri. For someone as gentle as you, I guess you could say that. But if a story makes me think, or takes me to another world, then I can't really put it down. Surreal horror is often very successful at changing the way you look at the world, if only for a brief moment. I hate horror. Oh, why is that? Natsuki's eyes dart over to me for a split second. Never mind. That's right. You usually write about cute things, don't you, Natsuki? What? What gives you that idea? You left a scrap of paper behind last club meeting. It looked like you were walking on a poem called... Don't say it out loud. Give me that back. Fine. Your cupcakes and your poems. Everything you do is just as cute as you are. Yuri slides behind Natsuki and puts her hands on her shoulders. I'm not cute. Natsuki, you write your own poems? I guess sometimes. Why do you care? Well, I just think that's impressive. Why don't you share them sometime? No. Natsuki averts her eyes. Aw, she's shy. He wouldn't like them. Not a very confident writer yet. I understand how Natsuki feels. Sharing that level of writing can take more than just confidence. The truest form of writing is writing to oneself. You must be willing to open up to your readers, exposing your vulnerabilities and showing even the deepest reaches of your heart. That's taking it a bit far maybe, but okay. Do you have any writing experience too, Yuri? Maybe if you share some of your work, you can set an example and help Natsuki feel comfortable enough to share hers. I guess it's the same for Yuri. I always wanted to read somebody's poems. We all sit down in silence for a moment. Okay, I have an idea, everyone. Natsuki and Yuri look quizzically at Monika. Let's all go home and write a poem of our own. Then, next time we meet, we'll all share them with each other. That way, everyone's even. Yeah, let's do it! Plus, now that we have a new member, I think it's time for us to get a little more comfortable with each other and strengthen the bonds of the club. Isn't that right, April? Monika smiles warmly at me once again. Hold on, there's still one problem. And what's that? Now that we're back on the original topic of me joining club, I bluntly come forth with what's been on my mind the entire time. I never said I would join the club. Sayori may have convinced me to stop by, but I never made any decision. I still have other clubs to look at, and I lose my train of thought. Blah. All four girls stare back at me with dejected eyes. I'm sorry, I thought... April... You all... I'm defenseless against these girls. How am I supposed to make a clear-headed decision when it's like this? That is, if writing poems is the price I need to pay in order to spend every day with these beautiful girls. Right. Okay, I've decided then. I'll join the literature club. One by one, the girls' eyes light up. Yeah, I'm so happy. Sayori wraps her arms around me, jumping up and down. Hey, you really did scare me for a moment. If you really just came for the cupcakes, I would have been super pissed. Well, then that makes it official. Welcome to the literature club. Thanks, I guess. Okay, everybody. I think with that, we can officially end today's meeting on a good note. Everybody remember tonight's assignment. Write a poem to bring to the next meeting, so we can all share. Monika looks at me once more. April, I look forward to seeing how you express yourself. Oh, that wasn't a very cute laugh, actually, was it? Oh well. Can I really impress the class star Monika with my mediocre writing skills? I already feel the anxiety welling up inside me. Meanwhile, the girls continue to chit-chat as Yuri and Natsuki clean up their food. Hey, April, since we're already here, do you want to walk home together? That's right, Sayori and I never walk home together anymore because she always stays after school for clubs. Sure, yeah, might as well. Yay! With that, the two of us depart the club room and make our way home. The whole way, my mind wanders back and forth between the four girls. Sayori, Natsuki, Yuri, and of course, Monika. Will I really be happy spending every day after school in a literature club? Perhaps I'll have the chance to grow closer to one of these girls. We could just be friends with all four of them. I mean, that is a legitimate option. It wouldn't be a dating sim then, though, otherwise would it? Alright. I'll just make the most of my circumstances, and I'm sure good fortune will find me. And I guess that starts with writing a poem tonight. Ooh. Now I just have to write a poem. Okay, it's time to write a poem. Pick words you think your favourite club member will like. Okay, so... Well, I don't really know which one of these I'd want to start with, so... I want to write a story that's a bouncy story. Where you have a lot of laughter and but there's lots of family, no lust, no thank you. And we have to email somebody about an adventure that is really special. Across the ocean, where we get to play with bubbles. And then we find a graveyard that is quite dark. Ooh. Sayori jumped up with dark there. I wasn't expecting that. But it's okay, because we have a whirlwind of... of bunnies. And then we judge them because they're uncontrollable. And then, ooh, Doki Doki. We've got to put that in there somehow. It's the name of the game. And then with some vanilla, we have an intellectual whisper about philosophy. That's very kawaii. Oh, I missed. Okay, am I going to get to read my own poem, do you reckon? Hi again, April. Glad to see you didn't run away on us. Nah, don't worry. This might be a little strange for me, but I at least keep my word. Well, I'm back at the literature club. It's almost like I never left. I was the last to come in, so everybody else is already hanging out. Thanks for keeping your promise, April. I hope this isn't too overwhelming of a commitment for you. Making you dive headfirst into literature when you're not accustomed to it. Oh, come on. Like he deserves any slack. They already told me you didn't even want to join any clubs this year. And last year too. I don't know if you just plan to come here and hang out or what. But if you don't take us seriously, then you won't see the end of it. Natsuki, you certainly have a big mouth for somebody who keeps her manga collection in the club room. Natsuki finds herself stuck between saying Monica and manga. Manky? No, let's not go there. Manga is literature. Swiftly defeated, Natsuki plops back into her seat. Don't worry, guys. April always gives it his best, as long as he's having fun. I'm not sure about those pronouns there. He helps me with busy work without me even asking. Like cooking, cleaning my room. Oh, how dependable. Sayori, that's just because your room is so messy, it's distracting. Aw, that's mean. And you almost set your house on fire once. Yeah, that is so, You two are really good friends, aren't you? I might be a little jealous. How come? You and April can be good friends too. Yes, Sayori. Sayori, as usual, Sayori seems to be oblivious to the weird situation she's putting me into. Yuri even brought you something today, you know. Wait, Sayori? Me? Not really. Don't be shy. It's really nothing. Well, what is it? Never mind. Sayori made it sound like a big deal, and it's really not. What do I do? What do I do? I'm sorry, Yuri. I wasn't thinking. I guess it means it's up to me to rescue the situation. Well, hey, don't worry about it. First of all, I wasn't expecting anything in the first place. So any nice gesture from you is a really pleasant surprise. It'll make me happy no matter what. Is that so? Yeah, I won't make a big deal out of it if you don't want it to be. Oh, all right. Well, here. Yuri reaches in her bag and pulls out a book. I didn't want you to feel left out, so I picked up a book I thought you might enjoy. It's a short read, so it should keep your attention, even if you don't usually read. And we could, discuss it if you wanted. But this is... How is this girl accidentally being so cute? She even picked out a book for me she thinks I'll like, despite me not reading much. Yuri, thank you. I'll definitely read this. I enthusiastically take the book. A few. Well, you can read it at your own pace. I look forward to hearing what you think. Now that everybody's settled in, I expected Monica to kick off some scheduled activities for the club, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Sayori and Monica are having a cheery conversation in the corner. Yuri's face is already buried in a book. I can't help but notice her intense expression, like she was waiting for this chance. Meanwhile, Natsuki is rummaging around in the closet. Man, it looks like nobody wants to be bothered today. I slumped down into the nearest desk. How am I supposed to occupy myself with something literature related by myself like this? Literature usually is done by yourself, so that was a bit of a silly question. I guess I could always read the book Yuri gave me, but I'm feeling a little too tired to read. I could probably fall asleep right now. I close my eyes and end up listening on to Sayori's conversation with Monica. Well, we're probably going to have really lame compared to all the other clubs though. Well, we can't give up. The festival is our chance to show everybody what literature is all about. The problem is that the idea of a literature club sounds so dense and intellectual. But it's really not like that at all, you know? We just need a way of showing that to everybody. Something that speaks to their creative mind. Well, that doesn't solve the problem though. What do you mean? You've even come up with the most fun thing ever. Nobody's gonna come in the first place if it's a literature event. So it's more important to figure out how to get people to show up in the first place, you know? And after they come, we can do the thing that speaks to their creative minds. What's this? Sayori is taking this really seriously. It's rare to hear her deliberating like this. Well, that is a good point. In that case, do you think food will do the trick? Well, what kind? Well, I guess we could... Cupcakes! Cupcake goblin! Good thinking. Natsuki would love to do that. You're right. Natsuki makes the best cupcakes. That works out perfectly. I think she just wants more cupcakes. That isn't why you suggested it? Cupcakes speak to my creative tummy. Cupcakes it is then. Well, it's true, you can't be creative on an empty stomach. I'm hungry. Anyway, we still need to work out the details of the event itself. I find myself smiling. In the end, Sayori is still her usual self. But therein lies the unexpected reason I admire her. Unlike me, who has trouble finding any motivation at all, Sayori can put her mind to things and make them come to life. I suppose that's why I end up letting her get on my case about things. I can't help but wonder what it would be like to see the world through her eyes. Wow! Okay, I was not expecting that to be that big. I open my eyes to find Sayori's face filling my vision. I nearly fall out of my chair. Sorry. Wait. Actually, I'm not sorry at all. It's your fault for sleeping like that. This isn't a napping club. Does our school have a napping club? You're staying up late again, aren't you? Now that you're in a club, you're gonna have less time for anime, you know? You need to get used to it. Don't say that so loud. I glance over my shoulder to see if Monica overheard. It's true though. Yeah, I know. You're always looking out for me, Sayori. That's what I do best. That's a problem. What about you? You look out for me better than you look out for yourself. You're still oversleeping every day, aren't you? Not every day. That's not very convincing. How many days this past week have you gotten up on time? That's a secret. I knew it. Come on. At least give me the benefit of the doubt. I can't even do that. Look, Sayori, it's written all over you. Eh? Sayori glances around herself. How is it written all over me? You were clearly in a rush this morning. Look, your hair is sticking out all over there. I rubbed my fingertips down the side of Sayori's hair, trying to straighten it out. Man, you really need a brush for this. My hair is just really hard to get it right. I won't fall for that. There's more than just your hair. Look, your bow isn't straight either. And there's a toothpaste stain on your collar right here. I tried to wipe off the stain with my finger. But nobody would ever notice that. Of course they would. Nobody's going to tell you about it because they don't want to embarrass you. Fortunately, I don't really care about that. To be fair, yeah, a good friend can tell things to you straight, so you should listen to them. But yeah. Hey, you meanie! And you don't even keep your blazer buttoned up. Seriously, Sayori, why do you think you don't have a boyfriend yet? That's super mean. Sorry, but you'll thank me later. I start to button up her blazer from the bottom. Once you see how much better it looks, you'll change your mind. Ooh, okay, that's a bit of a close shot. This is so funny. What is? Well, I was just thinking how weird it is to have a friend who does these kinds of things. Don't say that. You'll make me feel weird about it, stupid. It's okay, though. I'm happy we're like this. Aren't you? I guess. Hey, be careful. The buttons might come off. Why is this one so hard to close? I struggle to fully close the button near her chest. Does this thing even fit you properly? It did when I bought it. If you ever buttoned it, you would have noticed sooner that it doesn't fit you anymore. Why are you smiling about? It means my boobs got bigger again. I mean, that is a rather exciting thing to have happen, I gotta say. Don't say that out loud. Anyway, you look much better now, so... why does it feel strange to see Sayori's blazer buttoned up like this? But it's so stuffy. Ugh. It's not worth it at all. Sayori hastily unbuttons her blazer once more. To be fair, if it is undersized, it would get kind of uncomfortable to keep wearing it. Phew! That's so much better! Sayori puts her arms out and twirls around. So, if I keep it unbuttoned when I don't, then I won't get a boyfriend, right? What kind of logic is that? Why are you saying it's like it's a good thing? Because if I had a boyfriend, and he wouldn't let me let you do things like this. And you take way better care of me than anyone else would anyway. So that's why I'm keeping it unbuttoned. Stop saying all these embarrassing things. I didn't say anything embarrassing. Jeez. Well, anyway, just focus on trying to wake up a little earlier. Only if you focus on going to bed earlier. Fine. It's a deal. I guess we really are better at taking care of each other than we are at taking care of ourselves. Yeah, I guess so, huh? So, maybe you should come wake me up in the morning. You're doing it again, Sayori. But I was joking that time. Man, it's impossible to tell with you sometimes. I gotta say, I think this might all be plus stuff, because I don't remember any of this stuff. Then again, it has been quite a few years since I saw this game originally. Okay, everyone. Monica suddenly calls out. Why don't we share the poems we wrote now? Yay! April, I can't wait to read yours. Yeah, same. I failed to sound enthusiastic, but Sayori still trots away to retrieve my poem. Or her poem. By the way, did you remember to write a poem last night? Yeah. My relaxation ends. I can't believe I agreed to do something so embarrassing. I couldn't really find much inspiration, since I've never really done this before. Well now, if everybody's ready, why don't you find somebody to share yours with? Yeah, I can't wait. Sayori and Monica enthusiastically pull out their poems. Sayori is a wrinkled sheet of loose leaf torn from a spiral notebook. On the other hand, Monica wrote hers in a composition notebook. I can already see Monika's pristine handwriting from where I sit. Natsuki and Yuri reluctantly comply as well, reaching into their bags. I do the same myself, very, very reluctantly. Who should I show my poem to first? Well, let's cut the list, shall we? I should start with Monika. Yesterday, she seemed eager to read my poem, and I want her to know I'm putting in effort. Gotta impress the president, after all. Hi, April. Having a good time so far? Yeah. Good. Glad to hear it. By the way, since you're new and everything, if you ever have any suggestions for the club, like new activities or things we can do better, I'm always listening. Don't be afraid to bring things up, okay? Alright, I'll keep that in mind. Of course, I'll be afraid to bring things up. I'm much better off just going with the flow until I'm more settled in. Anyway, want to share your poem with me? It's kind of embarrassing, but I guess I have to. Don't worry, April. We're all a little embarrassed today, you know. But it is the sort of barrier we'll all learn to get past soon. Yeah, that's true. I hand Monika my poem. I like this one. It makes me think of something Sayori would like. Is that so? You and Sayori are really good friends, right? I wouldn't be surprised if you had those sorts of things in common. Well, we may be good friends, but Sayori and I are actually really different. Well, that may be the case. But maybe there are also some similarities you wouldn't expect. The way she talks about you, it sounds like the two of you really care about each other's well-being. Even if you show it in different ways, it ends up being more similar than you'd think. I think that's the kind of vibe I get when reading your poem. You sure you're not reading into it too much? Well, I could be. Oh gosh, I sound like Yuri. But in any case, Sayori's writing was kind of a gentle feel to it. I can tell that she likes exploring with emotions, with happiness and sadness. Who knew that somebody so happy could enjoy sad things too? It's true, some bittersweet stories are really quite moving. I do like them. Yeah, that's totally unexpected. Well, to each their own. And you shouldn't be afraid to experiment a little bit either. I'm sure I'll end up trying different things a lot. It could take a while before I'm comfortable doing this. That's okay. I'd love to see you try new things. That's the best way to find the kind of style that suits you. Everybody else might be a little bit biased towards their own kinds of styles, but I'll always help you find what suits you the most. So don't force yourself to write the way everyone else wants you to write. It's not like you have to worry about impressing them or anything. That was an awkward laugh. Anyway, do you want to read my poems now? Don't worry, I'm not very good. You sounded pretty confident for someone who claims not to be very good. Well, that's because I have to sound confident. That doesn't mean I always feel that way, you know? I see. Well, let's read it then. Hole in the wall. It couldn't have been me. See that erection, the spackle protrudes. A noisy neighbour? An angry boyfriend? I'll never know. I wasn't home. I peer inside for a clue. No, I can't see. I reel, blind, like a film left out in the sun. But it's too late. My retinas already scorched with a permanent copy of the meaningless image. It's just a little hole. It wasn't too bright. It was too deep. Sounds like she kind of looked through a hole and saw somebody's butt or something on the other side. Stretching forever into everything. A hole of infinite choices. I realize now I wasn't looking in. I was looking out. And he, on the other side, was looking in. There was somebody else on the other side of the wall, maybe? So, what do you think? It's very freeform, if that's what you call it. Sorry, I'm not really the right person to ask about for feedback. That's okay. Yeah, that's the kind of style that's gotten pretty popular nowadays. That is, a lot of poems have been putting emphasis on the timing between words and lines. When performed out loud, it can be really powerful. What was the inspiration behind this one? Well, I'm not sure how to put it. I guess you could say I had a kind of epiphany recently. It's been influencing my poems a bit. An epiphany? Yeah, something like that. I'm kind of nervous to talk about deep stuff like that, because it's kind of coming on strongly. Maybe after everyone is better friends with each other. Anyway, here's Monica's writing tip of the day. Sometimes when you write a poem or a story, your brain gets too fixated on a specific point. If you try so hard to make it perfect, then you'll never make any progress. Just force yourself to get something down on paper and tidy it up later. That's a very good point. You can edit a bad story, but you can never edit a blank piece of paper. Another way to think about it is like this. If you keep your pen on the same spot for too long, you'll just get a big dark puddle of ink. So just move your hand and go with the flow. That's my advice for today. That is good advice, and I really would like to get a book written that I really want to do, but I can't do dialogue. It always sounds really forced. Thanks for listening. Who shall I show my poem to next? Let's go with Natsuki. She's in the middle. ... question mark. Well, that's about what I was expecting from somebody like you. Well, that's a little blunt. Well, excuse me. It's not like I said it was bad. It just didn't evoke any emotions. So basically, it's not cute enough for your tastes? Do you want to get smacked? I'll pass. Well, anyway, I guess I need to show you mine. Not that you'll like it. Eagles can fly, monkeys can climb, crickets can leap, horses can race, owls can seek, cheetahs can run, eagles can fly, people can try, but that's about it. Well, it's kind of deep and moving. Everything's got a speciality it's great at, but people can do kind of anything. Yeah, I told you weren't gonna like it. I like it. What? Just be honest. I am. Why are you so convinced that I wouldn't like it? Well, because everybody in high school thinks that writing's got to be all sophisticated and stuff. So people don't, even take my writing seriously. But isn't the point of poems for people to express themselves? Your writing style wouldn't make your message any less valid. Yeah, exactly. I like it when it's easy to read, but it hits you hard. Like this poem. Seeing everybody around you getting great things can be really disheartening. So I decided to write about it. Yeah, no, I understand. But it's nice. The other nice thing about simple writing is it puts more weight on the wordplay. Like I set up for a rhyme at the end, but then made it fall flat on purpose. It helps bring out the feeling in the last line. So you did. I guess more went into this than I realised. That's what it means to be a pro. I'm glad you learned something. Didn't expect that from the youngest one here, did you? Well, yeah, I guess not. I decided to humour her with that last comment. I didn't really care how old anybody is, but if Natsuki is feeling proud, then I won't take it away from her. Aw, that's kinda cute. Let's do Sayori. I feel like she's been waiting long enough. Ooh, ... again. Oh my goodness. This is so good, April. Eh? I love it. I had no idea you were such a good writer. Sayori, you must be seriously overreacting. I'm not a good writer at all. I honestly have no idea what I'm doing. Well, maybe that's why. Because I have no idea what I like either. Oh, jeez. I'm sure Yuri's opinion has to be a little more constructive than this. Are you sure you don't like it are you sure you don't like it just because I wrote this? Eh? Well, I'm sure that's part of it. I think I understand you better than a lot of other people, you know? So when I read your poem, it's not just a poem, it's an April poem. And that makes it feel extra special. Oh, she is really kind of sweet, isn't she? Like I can feel your feelings in it. Sayori hugs the sheet against her chest. You're so weird, Sayori. I'm just really happy knowing that you wrote this one. It just reminds me of how you're really a good part of the club now. Not to mention the fact I'm standing in front of you in the classroom. Well, of course. I'm really not into it yet, but it doesn't mean I'll break my promise. See? It's like I said before, April. Deep down, you're not selfish at all, you know? Trying new things like this for other people, that's something only really good people do. Well, thanks, Sayori. I'm not sure if Sayori sees the full picture of my motive here. Then again, I can't deny she's part of the reason I joined. Knowing how much this means to her and all. Yeah, and I'm gonna make sure you have lots of fun here, okay? This will be my way of thanking you. Alright, I'll hold you to that then. Yay! Now, you'll read my poem too, right? Don't really worry, I'm really bad at this. Well, we'll see about that. Dear sunshine, the way you glow through my blinds in the morning makes me feel like you missed me, kissing my forehead to help me out of bed, making me rub the sleepy from my eyes. Are you asking me to come out and play? Are you trusting me to wish away a rainy day? I look above, the sky is blue. It's a secret, but I trust you too. If it wasn't for you, I could sleep forever. But I'm not bad. I want breakfast. Very true to herself. Sayori, this is just a guess, but did you wait until this morning to write this? No, just a little bit. You can't answer with just a little bit to a yes or no question. I forgot to do it last night. Well, at least it makes me feel a little bit better about myself. Don't be mean. I still tried my best. Yeah. I didn't mean to say it was a bad poem. It just came out nice. Or how should I put it? It sounds just like you. Really? Yeah. Especially that last line. I made eggs and toast. Even though you were late for school? It's bad to skip breakfast. I get all cranky. Well, I guess there's no point in arguing. Anyway, thank you for showing it to me. This is so much fun. Monica's the best. Yeah. But next time, I won't forget. And I'm gonna write the best poem ever. Well, I guess I look forward to it then. Do. And Yuri's the final one. ... Yuri stares at the poem. A minute passes. More than enough time for her to finish reading. Oh, sorry. I forgot to start speaking. That's fine. Don't force yourself. I'm not. I need to put my thoughts into words. Hold on. Okay. This is your first time writing a poem, right? Yeah. Why do you ask? I'm just making sure. I guess that it might have been after reading through it. So it's that bad? No. Did I just raise my voice? I'm so sorry. Yuri brushes her hair with her face. Wait, hang on a minute. Brushes her face with her hands. I couldn't help but notice there was been several minutes that we hadn't really gotten anywhere. It might take Yuri a while to get used to new people. It's fine, I really didn't notice. What were you saying? Oh, right, it's just that there are specific writing habits that are usually typical of new writers. And having been through it myself, I kind of learned to pick up on them. I think the most notable thing I recognize in new writers is they try to make their style very deliberate. In other words, they tend to pick a writing style separate from the topic matter, and they form-fit the two together. The end result is both the style and expressiveness are weakened. Once Yuri finds her train of thought, it's as if her demeanour totally changes. Her stammering is completely gone, and she sounds like an expert. Of course, that's not something that you can be blamed for. There are so many different skills and techniques that go into writing, even a simple poem. Not just finding them and building them, but getting them to work together is probably the most challenging part. It might take you some time, but it all comes with practice and learning by example and trying new things. I also hope that everybody else in the club gives you valuable feedback. Natsuki can be a little biased though. Biased? How? Well, never mind. I shouldn't be talking about people like that. I'm sorry. Well, it's fine. I'm not sure if Yuri is apologizing to herself, me, or Natsuki. Do you mind if I read your poem now? Please do. I'd love to share my thought processes behind it. Yuri smiles dreamily, as if it's a rare opportunity for her. Which itself is kind of funny. After all, isn't this supposed to be a literature club? Oh, it's all cursive. Ghost under the light. The tendrils of my hair illuminate beneath the amber glow. Bathing. It must be this one. The last remaining streetlight to have withstood the test of time. The last yet to be replaced with the sickening blue-green hue of the future. I bathe, calm, breathing air of the present, but living in the past. The light flickers. I flicker back. I must admit I don't quite get the symbolism. I'm sorry to have such terrible handwriting. It's probably the neatest out of everyone's here. What? I wasn't thinking that at all. But it took you such a long time to read. Well, I just don't read script very often. I was actually thinking your handwriting is very pretty. Eh? That's a relief. I also like the poem. Even though it is short, it's really descriptive. It wasn't too short. I usually write longer poems. Not at all. I'm really glad you liked it. I'll be honest. Since it's our first time sharing, I wanted to write something a little more mild. Something easy to digest, I suppose. Are you into ghosts, Yuri? Actually, the story isn't about a ghost at all, April. Really? I must have totally missed the point. Well, I suppose you did only glance over it after all. But remember that poets often express their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences in their work. They usually do more than tell a simple story or paint a picture. In this case, perhaps the subject of the poem is only being symbolically compared to a ghost. Lingering in her last remaining place of comfort, unable to let go of the past, and soon to be left with nothing. That's a lot more solemn putting it that way. I haven't even thought of it like that. It's very impressive. It's nothing, really. Well, it makes me happy that you think that. Just remember that it won't be long before you pick up on these things too. Well, yeah, maybe you're right. I guess I'll have to keep trying. I'm counting on you. Well, we've all learned a lot today. Phew. I guess that's everyone. I glance around the room. That was a little more stressful than I anticipated. It is as if everyone is judging me for my mediocre writing abilities. Even if they were just being nice, there's no way my poem can stand up to theirs. This is a literature club after all. I sigh. I guess that's what I ended up getting myself into. Across the room, Sayori and Monica are happily chatting. My eyes land on Yuri and Natsuki. They gingerly exchange pieces of paper, sharing their respective poems. As they read in tandem, I watch each of their expressions change. Natsuki's eyebrows furrow in frustration. Meanwhile, Yuri smiles sadly. What's with this language? Eh? Did you say something? Oh, it's nothing. Natsuki dismissively returns the poem to the desk with one hand. I guess you could say it's fancy. Ah, thanks. Yours is cute. Cute? Did you just completely miss the symbolism or something? It's clearly about the feeling of giving up. How can that be cute? I know that. I meant the language, I guess. I was trying to say something nice. Eh? You mean you have to try that hard to come up with something nice to say? Thanks, but it really doesn't come out nice at all. Well, I do have a couple of suggestions. If I was looking for suggestions, I would have asked somebody who actually liked it. Which people did, by the way. Sayori liked it, and April too. So based on that, I'll gladly give you some suggestions of my own. First of all, excuse me, I appreciate the offer, but I've spent a long time establishing my writing style. I don't expect it to change anytime soon, unless of course I come across something particularly inspiring, which I haven't yet. And April liked my poem too, you know. He even told me he was impressed by it. Natsuki suddenly stands up. Oh, I didn't realize you were so invested in trying to impress our new member, Yuri. Oh dear. That's not what I... Oh, you're just... Yuri stands up as well. Wait. Maybe you're just jealous that April appreciates my advice more than he appreciates yours. And how do you think he didn't appreciate my advice more? Are you that full of yourself? No. If I was full of myself, I would deliberately go out of my way to make everything I do overly cutesy. Is everyone okay? Well, you know what? I wasn't the one whose boobs magically grew a size bigger as soon as April started showing up. Natsuki? Natsuki, that's a little, It doesn't involve you. I don't like fighting guys. Suddenly, both girls turned towards me, as if they'd just noticed I was standing there. April, she's just trying to make me look bad. That's not true. She started it. If I could get her over herself, and learn to appreciate that simple writing is more effective, then this wouldn't have happened in the first place. What's the point in making your poem all convoluted for no reason? The meaning should just jump out at the reader, not force them to have to figure it out. Help me explain that to her, April. Wait. There is a reason we have so many deep and expressive words in our language. They both have a point. But, yeah, I wish they wouldn't fight about this. It's the only way to convey complex feelings and meanings the most effectively. Avoiding them is not only unnecessarily limiting yourself, it's also a waste. You understand that, right, April? Well... How did I get myself dragged into this in the first place? It's not like I know anything about writing. But with whomever I agree with, they're probably thinking more highly of me. Of course, it's going to be... They're both right, so... Sayori? Natsuki? Natsuki glares at me, drying up any words I had in my mouth. But instead I turn to Yuri. Yuri? ... But Yuri's expression is so defenseless, I can't bring myself to say anything to her. More dots? Sayori? Yeah. Everybody's fighting to make Sayori uncomfortable. Is making Sayori uncomfortable. How can the two of you keep fighting when you're making your friends feel like this? April. Well, that's her problem. This isn't about her. I agree. It's unfair of others to interject their own feelings into our conflict. Yeah, unless Sayori wants to tell Yuri what a stuck-up jerk she's being. She would never! Oh no, I've just kind of dragged Sayori into this, haven't I? It's your immaturity that's made her upset in the first place. Excuse me? Are you listening to yourself? This is exactly why nobody likes... Stop! Line. Natsuki, Yuri, you guys are my friends. I just want everyone to get along and be happy. Oh no, she looks like she's gonna cry. My friends are wonderful people, and I love them because of their differences. Natsuki's poems, they're amazing because they give you so many feelings in just a few words. And Yuri's poems are amazing because they paint beautiful pictures in your head. Everybody's so talented. So why are we fighting? Because, well, also, Natsuki's cute, and there's nothing wrong with that. And Yuri's boobs are the same as they've always been. Big and beautiful. ... Sayori, Sayori stands triumphantly. Monica stands behind her with a bewildered expression. I'll go make some tea. Yuri rushes off. Natsuki sits down with a blank expression on her face, staring at nothing. So, this is why Sayori is vice president, I whispered to Monica. She nods in return. To be honest, I might come off as a good leader, and I can organize things, but I'm not very good with people. I couldn't even bring myself to interject. As president, that's kind of embarrassing for me. It's true, I have a very hard time sort of butting into the middle of a conversation of what people are saying. I always wait until they finish, and then I bring up my points. Nah, it's not like I can blame you. I wasn't able to say anything either. Well, I guess that just means Sayori is amazing in her own ways, isn't she? You could say that. She might be an airhead, but sometimes it's weirdly suspicious that she knows exactly what she's doing. I see. And take good care of her, okay? I would hate to see herself getting hurt. That makes two of us. You can count on me. Monica smiles sweetly at me, causing my stomach to nod. Such a genuine person really does make a good president, regardless of what she says. If only I could get the chance to talk to her a little more. Okay. Okay, everybody. It's just about time for us to leave. How do you feel about sharing poems? It was a lot of fun. Well, I'd say it was worth it. It was alright. Well, mostly. April, how about you? Yeah, I'd say the same. It was neat. It was a neat thing to talk about with everyone. Awesome. Well, in that case, we'll do the same thing tomorrow. And maybe you learned something from your friends too. So your poems will turn out even better. ... I think to myself, I did learn a little bit more about the kinds of poems everybody likes. With any luck, that means I can at least do a better job impressing those who I want to impress. I nod to myself with newfound determination. April, ready to walk home? Sure, let's go. Sayori beams at me. It truly has been a while since Sayori and I have spent this much time together. I can't really say I'm not enjoying it either. Sayori, about what happened earlier? Eh? What do you mean? You know, between Yuri and Natsuki. Does that kind of thing happen often? No. That's really the first time I've seen them fight like that. I promise they're both wonderful people. You don't hate them, do you? No, I don't hate them. I just wanted your opinion, that's all. I can see why they make good friends with you. Phew. You know, April, it's nice to get to spend time with you in the club. But I think seeing you get along with everyone is just what makes me the happiest. And I think everybody really likes you too. That's... Every day is going to be so much fun. It looks like Sayori hasn't caught on to the kind of situation I'm in. Sure, being friends with everyone is nice, but does it really need to stop there? We'll just have to see what the future holds, Sayori. I pat Sayori on the shoulder. I said that more to myself than to her, but it's easy to use Sayori as an internal monologue sometimes. Okay, yeah, let's do this. Alright. Next time, I think we're going to write ourselves a brand new poem. But until then, everyone, I hope you've been enjoying this. Let me know what you think. And if there are any good books you like, or good authors, write them down below, because, I've got a couple of good ones myself, which maybe I'll talk about next time. Until then, everyone, take care, and bye-bye!